Conor McGregor is finally back this weekend for the first time in 5 years. And guys, I have to say something about this. This is undoubtedly one of the strangest returns in MMA history, I dare say. I don't think it's going to go the way most people think. I hear a lot of chatter about this being maybe a competitive fight, especially early on. Maybe Conor McGregor still possesses that, one knockout punch power that he had in the featherweight division when he first came in and then when he became a two division champion. But guys, 5 years out, broken leg, legal battles, there's some public chaos going on, and there are a lot of questions around this. Now let's reel it back in. 2 years ago, Conor McGregor made his first return. It was scheduled against Chandler, and there was a lot of stuff behind the scenes that was going on, and he pulled out because of a toe injury, and there was a lot of mystery behind all of that. And that fight against Chandler that was set up 2 years ago, that seemed like a great return fight for Conor McGregor. Now Chandler was, he was aging, he was also in a 2 year layoff, and it seemed a little bit more competitive, especially if you look at how Chandler looks now. The fight against Chandler would have been a lot more competitive, but they gave him Max Holloway. There's no tune-up fight. That's not a tune-up fight. There's no gradual return. He's straight into the main event spot with an elite UFC lightweight, elite top five UFC lightweight. Now, I think this was done purposely by the UFC. There's a lot of chatter going on behind the scene. Conor has been refusing to sign a long-term deal, and he's been holding out on leverage. He's been teasing maybe he could do the Netflix thing, the Netflix MMA thing. Maybe he can go box Floyd Mayweather again for the second time. Maybe Manny Pacquiao. And what's their UFC's response? The UFC has him under contract for I think two more fights, and Conor doesn't seem too keen on signing a long-term deal. So what does the UFC do? They give him Max Holloway. It looks like a blockbuster matchup on paper. On paper, this is outside of the White House. This is going to be the biggest event this year. And on paper, obviously, it's massive, but this is a trap. And the UFC set it up. So this was set up so that the UFC squeezes every last drop of their investment in Conor McGregor. I don't know how other people don't see it. It's obvious. This fight is not going to be competitive at all. At all. This is going to be like an MMA master teacher teaching a little kid. Like Conor McGregor, obviously, he's one of the greatest, but he's coming back after we've seen what he's been doing the last 5 years, and none of it screams elite talent, elite MMA talent anymore. It's been 5. He's what now? 30. He's 38. Oh man, and we've seen in the lead of the last couple of weeks, we've seen Conor McGregor on the mitts. We've seen him, on his pad work and his training, and I don't know, guys. It doesn't look good at all, and I don't know. I think once Conor McGregor goes out there and he gets embarrassed by Max Holloway, I think he loses a little bit of his leverage. He loses a little bit of his steam, his star power. Now he can still go main event, but I think that the UFC is doing what's best for them and for their leverage. And after I think his loss, he's gonna suffer brutally this weekend. I don't think he would have anywhere else to go. I think he just crawls back to the UFC because after this fight, I don't think he has nowhere else to go to draw huge money. I think the UFC is gonna be still the best choice. So I'm saying all that. I didn't even talk about the fight. I think Holloway's gonna win. I don't think we've seen a lot of upsets this year, but this can't. If Conor McGregor wins, I would have to stop watching the sport because it would make no sense. Holloway, I think he's still in his absolute prime. At 155 in terms of striking, he looks the most sharp and dominant in terms of striking. I know he got dominated by Charles, but that was on the ground. A little bit on the feet, but I think he was, worried about the takedown. But on the feet against another striker, against Gaethje, against Dustin Poirier, he looks sharp, dominant. And, Conor, 5 years removed, is, from his last performance, obviously the way to end it, too, was brutally, like, broken leg. And I think, Conor was known for his movement, his karate style, and with that broken leg, I think it changes his movement permanently. And I think as time goes, the skills dwindle down a little bit, timing, reflexes, all of that. 5 years he hasn't been doing this. It's not going to be the same Conor McGregor, and I just don't even think Conor McGregor could compete with any ranked lightweight or welterweight at all. Even some of the guys right outside the ranking, he can't compete against them. So I think obviously Holloway's gonna win by whatever he wants. I think TKO. I think by the second or third round, I think Conor will be done. Maybe in the first couple of minutes, he will do okay. The crowd will pop. The first round might seem competitive, but I think after a couple of minutes, Holloway starts turning it up, and I think it's gonna get ugly. I think it's gonna be embarrassingly one-sided. I'm thinking, I'm thinking Ronda Rousey versus Amanda Nunes type of fight. I know that's insane to say, but I think that's how it's gonna look. And but yeah, what do you guys think? You think UFC is setting Conor up with this? Drop down in the comments below what you guys think about this fight. Who do you think is gonna win? I'm gonna be dropping more breakdowns this week of UFC 329, and it's going down this Saturday, and we're gonna see what happens. Until next time, I'm out.